Hello, hello. You're listening to Resilient Brown Mamas, the podcast for everyday mamas searching for understanding as we navigate motherhood, mental health, love, and life. I'm Sheena B.
I'm Sonia G.
And I'm Mica Rose, and welcome to episode 1. Today we're going to be discussing our healing journey and how it began. Please follow us at Resilient Brown Mamas Podcast on Instagram and Facebook, and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts.
Now let's get into it.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so excited that we finally got to this point. This is such a big deal for us. Oh my goodness. I don't even know what to say. Like, I get to sit, well, not really sit, but be alongside these two amazing women who have been such an integral part of my life. I'm super excited.
You should be hyping yourself up. This is great.
This idea has been on my vision board for a few years now. And
say what it's been doing. It's been stinking up your vision board.
The whole vision board. The whole vision board is dirty. You hear me? Just
smelling good right now. Smelling good.
I didn't know if anybody wanted to even be a part of this journey with me, or if it really mattered whether I did it or not. After having a few conversations over the last, I'd say, few months, my sister told me, before you go to bed, I want you to ask God who you are. And I was like, all right. Get myself ready for bed that night. And before I got into bed, I just stopped, had a silent moment with myself. And I said, God, I need you to show me who I am. I want you to show me where you want me to be. And wherever you want me to be and whoever you say that I am, I'm going to follow it all the way through, no matter what. And I woke up that morning. He told me, I want you to inspire. I want you to help people. You need to start your podcast. And I got working on the podcast that day.
I don't think I'm supposed to be crying this early. I don't think I'm supposed to be crying this early.
But no, I just cries. It just happens.
I did what God told me to do. Well, first starting what my sister told me to do, and then what God told me to do.
Yes.
He basically spoke through her.
The healer by trade.
Yes. And I said, so as I started working on like what I really like, the name and the feel of the podcast, I was like, well, I can't have a conversation by myself about me. Like, that's ridiculous.
You've done it before. Don't act like you haven't.
No, I have not. And so I said, who could I invite? Who would want to be a part of this journey with me? So I slept on that again. And I woke up and God told me that I needed to invite my sister, Mica Rose, and my soul sister, Sonia G, to be a part of this journey with me. I literally called them both up 2 separate times and was like, hey, would you do me the honor? And they both said yes. But I was excited that they were just as excited as I was.
Absolutely.
And so we birthed Resilient Brown Mamas, a podcast for brown mamas everywhere, to be a safe space for us to share our stories, share our feelings, and be able to navigate through this journey we call life.
Well, girl, you birthed it, and Mica and I caught it.
Yes.
Amen. Let the good Lord say amen.
You want to cut the cord.
So I'm really just excited to be here with you guys and, to build this sister circle and community. And, even if we only touch one life, it's well worth it.
Yes.
It's well worth it. My name is Sheena B. I'm originally from Westchester, New York. Right now I reside in the DMV. And, I'm a mama of 2 beautiful children. I have a 14-year-old daughter and a 4.5-year-old son who is...
Take it easy now.
Don't talk about my baby. Okay, now think about this one.
He is enough. That's what I will say. He is enough. And I'm still standing.
You're resilient. That's why.
Because I'm resilient. Because you got to be when they're 4.5.
Oof, and a boy.
I've been really, really blessed to be able to do the things in life that I wanted to do, travel, see the world, party hard, Ow. Um, but you know, God has always put amazing opportunities in my path, and a chapter in my life brought me to DMV, and I was able to start anew. And I'm so thankful. I'm so grateful because so many beautiful things, right? Diamonds come from, where do diamonds come from?
Pressure from
From
coal.
pressure, from coal, right? So many beautiful things come from going through the trenches. But we'll discuss that on another episode. So you got to just stay tuned to hear all about that. Okay, grab your popcorn.
Okay.
That was quick. That was quick thinking, Mica. I couldn't think of the word coal in that second.
So yeah, that's just me. I'm just out here navigating this world, trying to get my life child, trying to catch all my edges in this crazy, this crazy thing we call life. So I'm gonna pass it to Mica Rose.
Oh,
It's your time.
Tag me in.
Tag you in.
I am Mica Rose. I am a proud Boston, Massachusetts native.
Boston.
There's no place better. But I am residing in Baltimore, which nobody wants to claim Baltimore, but it is a beautiful place. It is my home. I own my first home ever here, so it'll always be close to my heart. I'm the happy and proud mom of two beautiful young queens, Genesis and Duchess. They're the reason I wake up every day, to be honest. They definitely make life fun and worth all of the craziness.
Amen.
Yes, I'm a crafter. I'm a plant mama. I am an unapologetic serial entrepreneur.
I like that.
Yes, I got to own that again. I've been made to be so ashamed of who I am in that regard that I'm going to say it loud and proud. I'm going to get back at it. So that's part of the reason why this is such an amazing journey. I'm a Taurus, so I'm going to cry a lot. And because of that, I give a lot. And I'm very passionate about everything. But the biggest thing for me right now is I'm an autoimmune warrior. So that gives me a whole nother community that I have to be resilient for and that I have to lean on, and that I want to use my healing, because I am also a healer as well. I want to be able to have this springboard, me healing and touching people when they hear our voices, because they will, honey. It might be just one of y'all right now, but in a couple of months, it's going to be a whole lot of people. I want them to say these women helped me with these aches and this chronic pain and, my relationships ending because it's too much. I want them to say that we were here for them. And They were also here for us, because they're our community as well. You're our community as well. So that's me in a nutshell. And last, but certainly not least, the queen, Miss Sonia G. We want to hear about you. Tell the people about you, girl.
First of all, I like that intro. I'll take that all day long.
Listen,
so thank you, Mica. Man, I have to say, Sheena, thank you so much for birthing this baby. You are also giving me the platform to finally, share my story, which is something that I've been wanting to do for years. But I can't wait to get into our topic today because I'm excited about that. And so welcome, everyone. A little about me. I am born and raised from the Boogie Down Bronx. I am Puerto Rican. So when you hear the accent, you already know what it is. Now, I have a sweatshirt that says Sassy Latina because that is exactly what I am. But I am a mom of one boy who is fully grown. I am also a grandma. She is 1.5 years, soon to be 2, right around the corner.
Yay.
Man, there's so many facets of all of us that it just adds to the excitement of this podcast. I'm also a breast cancer survivor. Single mom at 21. There's so many things I can say, and we will get into that along the way. But I have to say, Mica, you touched my heart a little bit more as you did your introduction of yourself, because one, my mom was a Taurus.
Oh.
And she also suffered from autoimmune. I lost her when I was 17, and that was a very defining moment for me in my life that carries through all the way until now. But before she left this beautiful, earth, she definitely gave me enough of her strength to carry me through my life. And
Beautiful.
May she rest.
resilient, thank you. Resilient is the perfect name for this podcast because all of you will learn how resilient we all are, will continue to be, and help you see how resilient you are and will continue to be as well.
Yes.
Whew, the chills.
Well, I don't know what to say. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back. Let's get back into it. I started therapy when I was 15 years old. And it was definitely a defining moment in my life because it was the first time that I felt like my feelings and my opinions mattered. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I come from the era or children are to be seen and not heard.
Absolutely.
You know, mind your business. I never felt like my feelings and my opinions mattered. To just bottle everything up. If I was being bullied at school or fit to myself, I internalized all my feelings and I never told anybody. But the one thing I always thank her for was she knew enough to put me in therapy, right? And it was the first time in my life where someone asked me how I was feeling, what I was feeling, you know, what were my thoughts. It changed me. It was like it opened up this place inside of me I didn't know existed. I learned how to speak up for myself. I learned how to say how I felt. It's just all these different things that I just didn't even know were capable.
Right. It was like
I
somebody
was,
gave you permission to.
my therapist gave me permission. My therapist gave me permission to feel, like feel your feelings. You know, when they say feel your feelings,
Yeah.
she gave me permission to feel my feelings. And listen, I never stopped. That was at 15 years old. I'm 40 and I'm still feeling my feelings. And I'm going to tell you how I feel. I got a big mouth. If I'm feeling it, if I'm thinking it, you going to hear it. You going to hear me today.
Okay.
You know? I know there's so many different points in our lives where we feel like we have to like start, stop on our healing journey. For you, like, when did you feel your journey began?
Who, Sonia or me?
Right. So you're talking, you're asking
Yeah,
me or
just
you're asking me?
yeah,
Oh,
just shoot.
go
Go
ahead,
for it,
Sonia.
Mica. Go
Oh,
ahead.
okay. For me, you know what? I'm so I don't know. I think because I didn't know what trauma was, I didn't know that a lot of things I went through as a child was not normal. It's common, but it's not normal, right?
Yeah.
A lot of things, my life has been like Pandora's box or like an onion. As time goes on, things open up. And I'm not one of those people who can almost put like the cart, I kind of put the cart in front of the horse. So I say that to say, usually things happen and then I recognize it and then I try to correct it. So it's not, nobody ever pointed me to therapy. As a matter of fact, I just started going to therapy. I love my therapist. But my first time was definitely at 18 years old. I can credit an ex boyfriend. And although it was toxic because he was 10 years older than me, he was very in tune with Blackness. And where I was from, you know, it was very segregated. And I didn't realize that it was like this undertone of lower your gaze. So we didn't challenge anything. If teachers said something off color, I didn't even realize until I was an adult, like that wasn't right. Or they said, you know, those kinds of things. And I think that just seeking the knowledge, seeking understanding started with him. And then definitely recognizing that I had issues from childhood happened when I gave birth to my daughter. It's like it was all suppressed because we know sometimes with trauma, our defense mechanism is to push it, you know,
Yeah.
push it behind you.
Right.
So it didn't exist. I'd forgotten abuse, sexual abuse, emotional
Yeah.
abuse, verbal abuse, neglect that I have. I learned recently that I have abandonment issues, which causes trauma bonds, and we'll get into that and how that just slapped me in the face in the past decade. But when I pushed my baby out, my Genesis, that was my beginning. That's when I was born. And so her name is so fitting. And she actually says, Mommy, on my birthday, I want to buy you gifts because you said that was your birthday. But that's when I got to protect her. And I'm going to be kind, and I'm going to ask questions, and I'm going to let her give me reviews. Tell me how I'm doing. Tell me where I can.
Mm.
So that was kind of my way of healing. And then, of course, off and on in between, I call them false starts because I said, as of today, I'm going to be this person and I'm going to embrace this and I'm not going to let this person do this to me. But because I'm a people pleaser and I have these, issues, I end up reverting back to that little girl who was abused.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
here I
We
am
all
at
do.
40.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. And it's just amazing because, you see your friends and you're like, girl, don't let that happen to you. Or if that was me, and then God makes it you, and you're
Yeah.
like, oh shit.
Right.
Yeah.
What do I do with this? So the healing just keeps going and it keeps changing. So now my thing is I need modalities. I need my EFT tapping. I'm EFT tapping certified. I need my meditation and things like that to help me because just talking to someone, I still hold back. I still don't feel like they understand. And so my journey, I'm going to say I'm probably 10% into it because every time I think I've healed something or I've learned something, life just starts lifing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It pulls out that belt and it gets me every
Yeah.
time. But when you realize like that's how it's going to be and you realize how good it feels when you are able to face something or you are able to say, hey, this is a thing I need to address, it's a freedom. And it,
Yeah.
yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a, I'm grateful for this pain right now because now I'm not going to push it back. Now I'm not going to hide. I'm going to call my sister. I'm going to, call my friends. I'm
Yeah.
going to call my therapist and I'm going to
Yeah.
work on this because I want to be better and I want to keep this journey going, especially when you got kids watching you, you know?
Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
important.
Right.
Yeah.
And sometimes we think that they're not watching us, right? So we're so
Oh,
caught up in
God.
the moment. We're so caught up in just doing what we have to do and moving forward that we don't realize they are watching. And then sometimes when you find out that they were watching for so many years, we also find out that they were impacted by it.
I can't tell you how often I apologize, right? Am I the only parent who I feel like I'm always like, sorry.
No, you're
And then
not.
I thought about that one time in 2006. Sorry.
Oh, girl, you are not the only one.
No, I find myself apologizing to Jada often because one, I apologize because I want her to know that I'm human and I'm not perfect and
Yeah.
that I don't expect for her to be perfect because there's no such thing. Two, I apologize to her because I really truly am sorry for some of the decisions or
Yeah.
situations that I may have put her in
Mm-hmm.
that didn't feed her in the manner that it should have. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
Right. But it wasn't intentional,
and
right?
it wasn't
It
intentional,
wasn't
and letting her
intentional.
know, like, you matter.
Yeah.
What you've gone
Yes.
through, what
Thank
you
you for bringing that
feel.
in there.
Yes, you matter. I want you to be able to have a safe space because I never had a safe space growing up to be
Yeah.
able to express your feelings and know that I'm listening to you. And although I may not act on it right then and there, believe me, I'm sitting on it and I'm pondering it and I'm seeing how I can make changes and how I can be better, and
Yeah.
or how we together can figure out
Yes.
a
Because it's got
common
to be
place.
a team. Yeah. She's the
Absolutely.
MVP. Those kids are the MVPs, and we got to give them their trophies because, look, we brought them here.
Yeah,
Right.
And there's nothing worse than your child saying, I ain't asked to be here because it's true.
it
You
Yeah.
don't
is
want to
Yeah.
true.
get popped in the mouth for that. But at the end of the day, you're accountable. You're accountable for that person. And why not make their life amazing? Because at the end of the day, honey, when you're sitting there at Shady Pines and you're eating your pudding,
Oh
Oh
my
God,
gosh.
we're fast forwarding. Like, are we fast forwarding?
because you gotta, because that's gonna determine how you act today. So that determines whether you go to a 1 star or a 5 star
Right.
facility.
Right. And they're like,
No,
listen, I got control now.
But Sonia, before we get off track, please enlighten us about your journey
Well,
and
well, thank you very much for passing the mic. But before we go on to that, I want to say this just to touch on what you guys were saying. Mika, you said it's a team, right? You guys are a
yes,
team, and I remember one time I went through something with my son as a teenager, and that thought just dropped into my mind, and I said that to him. But the one thing that we all have to remember, one of many things, is that this is our first go around, right? It was something that I didn't handle very well because all I did was yell.
God bless
But
the first child. Yeah.
yeah, you know, and it was like, you know, in that moment, I said to him, listen, it's my first time being a mom of a teenager, and it's your first time being a teenager.
Right.
So we are both figuring out our roles as we go and with each other, right? So it is a matter of, you know, letting them know that you guys are a team and doing the best that we can with that. Let me catch my breath. So the question is, when did we start our healing journey? The first response that comes to mind is, for me personally, which time?
Right.
which time do you want to hear about? But you know, since we are talking about being a mom, you know, I had my son at 21. Like I said, well, I didn't say in the beginning, but I think I did say it. My mom passed away when I was 17, so I was catapulted into adulthood very quickly, early in life. Um, and I had him at 21, but there was so much that happened before that. There was so much that happened before that that I needed healing from. I just didn't know it.
Yeah.
Losing my mom, I was in a physically and mentally abusive relationship. And, you know, Mica, you said that, you know, you say, oh, that's never going to happen to me. That happens to other
Right.
people, right? You telling other people, don't let that happen to you. And I found myself for many years of my life being in that relationship and not being able to walk away. And I was that person that tried to leave so many times and then just went right back. So there was healing that was needed from that. And then so much more after that. But I gotta say that if I had to put my finger on it, I would say all the way into my 30s, probably about 31, 32. And that's when I got tired of being the unhappy, miserable person that I was. I had a person tell me one time that I was pretty on the inside, but ugly on, I'm sorry, pretty on the outside, but ugly on the inside.
That hurts.
And, but it was the truth. It was the absolute truth. And that made me sit still for a minute and then realize I wasn't being the person that my mother raised me to be.
Wow.
And that moment for me was a defining moment where I needed to make a change because I didn't even like myself.
Oh yeah.
You know, and I was raising a young man with that. He was being raised by a broken mom, a broken individual.
Yeah.
And, you know, Sheena and I have these conversations very often. And, you know, I constantly go through those emotions of asking for forgiveness myself,
Right.
thinking of all the mistakes that I made, wishing that you could erase them and retrack. And we can't do that, right? We can't do that. But my first step in healing was finding God. I was raised Catholic, but I didn't understand it. It was just something that my parents did, and I had to follow tradition.
Right.
But thank God, my son's father's sister, um, was always in the church, very committed, and I got introduced to, you know, being a Christian. And in my 30s, I decided to get baptized.
Wow.
And I knew that something before that was happening because I separated myself from the people I used to hang out with that I was always trying to please and trying to be like, but it wasn't the kind of people I wanted to be like. I started separating myself from that circle, and I said, I'm going to focus on me and my son and just raising him and, you know, getting my finances together, myself together.
Oh,
And
when
I
you
got
said finances, because that money healing. Right.
and I went and I got baptized. And from that moment on, it was just a different journey. It wasn't perfect. It didn't overnight, like, woo, you know, people think you
Yeah.
get baptized and, oh, you're a different person.
Right.
Yeah.
No, it's a process.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
But that was if I had to put my finger on it, that was it. And so much changed after that. Again, you know, wasn't the last thing and time in my life where I had to heal, but I was able to handle it differently moving forward.
Right.
That's good. Well, I'll tell you now, just from, observation, you definitely move with God. So it's not in vain. You exude, love and light. So
Oh, I love you, Mica.
yeah, I know.
Oh my God, you
I'm a
guys, I
love
love you
dog, y'all know I'm
guys.
gonna love on y'all all day.
I love you
Bring it, bring it,
guys.
bring it.
No, I mean, Sonia, Jesus, you said that someone told you that you were pretty on the outside and ugly on the inside.
Yeah, yeah,
For you to realize that you needed change in your life. You needed elevation. And for you to say like, yo, that's true. Like in that moment to realize, like instead of taking it like, oh,
Yeah,
blah,
you
blah,
know how
blah,
the
blah,
French
blah.
does. Yeah,
Like we don't always want to see the ugly side of us. Like, when you're like doing something, you're not supposed to do it.
right, right,
Like
right.
when I'm in my refrigerator at 11 o'clock at night trying to eat
ooh,
the
Can
chocolate
you
in the
stop telling my
refrigerator.
business? Stop telling my business.
ooh.
Like I know I'm not supposed to be in there eating that chocolate because I know it's not good for me. And my daughter comes to me and be like, you're not supposed to be eating that.
Hmm.
Or I thought you said you wanted to lose weight. I don't want to believe what she's saying, but I know it's true and I
Yeah,
got to do something about it. Like, that was a
yeah,
word. For me, that was a word because we don't always want to see the darker sides of ourselves, but you have to be able to open your eyes to those moments or to that person, right? To that person, because that's a
right?
different person, right?
Yeah,
To that person for you to be able to even accept that you need to heal. Because one, you have to accept that there's a problem
right.
Yeah, yeah.
in order to go to take the steps to fix it. So I know for me, growing up, I grew up with my mom and my stepdad. That when I that this is a whole podcast all on its own, and it will be, but I grew up with my mother and my stepfather, not realizing my stepfather was my stepfather until I was about 7 years old.
Hmm.
Mm,
And at 7 years old, I didn't know that there needed to be healing because I'm 7. I don't know no better.
Right,
yeah,
right.
yeah.
But as I got older, I started realizing that that was a trigger for me. And that
Mm,
became a trauma that I didn't even know existed until I started seeing my therapist at 15 and she touched on it. And she was like, now we're getting somewhere.
Mm.
We're
wow.
getting somewhere, because, you know, our parents come from the generation. If you don't say it, it don't exist.
Okay.
Girl, talk about it.
And nothing's never your business.
Nothing's
You
ever
gotta
your
stay out of
business.
grown
Right.
folks' business.
Don't
Stay
let
in
other
your.
people in your
If
business.
Oh God.
if if I tell you don't say nothing, it don't exist.
And
Yeah.
I got a problem with that. I got a serious problem with
If we
that.
sweep it under the rug, it don't exist. And
Hmm.
Girl.
that's
Well,
what
we
happened
we
to
know that's a
me.
whole nother podcast right there.
It is. It really is. And let me tell you, that right there is generational curses.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't stop until someone says it needs to stop.
Hmm.
And that became, I don't want to say a lifelong, but that is something that I deal with even till this day with my biological dad.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
God bless my stepdad. He passed on, but and he was an amazing dad. I wouldn't have traded that man for the world. He wasn't always right, but he wasn't always wrong. But what I will tell you is that that man loved me from the
Yeah.
first day.
Hmm.
And, for that, I'm so thankful, because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have been raised with a dad. I would have just been with my mom
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
wouldn't have had a male figure in my life.
Yeah.
So, when you say that, it just brings up so much for me because I believe I had a point in time where I didn't, I didn't like myself, but I didn't know in that moment I didn't like myself and that the person that I was becoming wasn't me. It was like almost like this outer body
Right.
experience.
Right.
What a
Hmm.
revelation. But you didn't know at the time, right? You
No, not at the, you never know
just
in the
like, look,
moment because in the moment you feel like everything you're doing is right. You know what I'm
God,
saying?
yeah.
It's like when
Because
you
you know
out.
what? You also have people around you that just tolerate you the way that you
Yeah.
are,
Yep.
Yes.
right? And they
Because
tolerate you.
parents have
So
said that.
how do you fix something how do you correct something that's wrong when you don't even know that it's wrong?
Oh my
Right.
God.
Right. And so when you surround yourself with the same, mindsets, and maybe that wasn't your case, Sheena, but there was no, and for me it was, until that person really checked me, because I had a lot of people around me, but we all hear, well, oh, that's just Sonia, that's who she is, that's just
Uh-huh.
Sheena, that's how she is. No, 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 someone has to check that person and stop accepting them as they are. We can't change them,
Right.
but maybe we can give them a little nudge,
Oh my God.
Mm.
I feel like I'm gonna send y'all a check.
right?
No, because I just,
Girl, I'll
like
send you
I
my
said,
address. I'll text
no,
you
like I
everything.
said, how therapy just happens. It's in everything, not just with your therapist. And I just said, when things happen, different ideas or feelings are unlocked.
Yeah.
And it made me think about, because you talked about the people around you. Everybody around me was pissed. Everybody
Yeah.
around me was
Right.
promiscuous.
Right.
Everybody around me had been touched by somebody, or everybody.
Yes.
So
That was
everybody's
normal.
behavior was the same. And it wasn't until I left that environment and went to the military that I was like, wait a minute, this ain't right. But then I thought, well, these are all white people acting like it don't happen to all of them, right? But
Right. It happens
in
to
my mind,
everybody.
because they walk on water back then, I didn't know. And then again, like I said, as the journey goes on and things change, I moved again. I moved
Hmm.
again in my 30s, early 30s, to get married. And I was like, what? Like, this is, of course, I got my people that I love them, they love me. It's no, toxicity there, whatever. But the people I left behind and don't even want to see on the corner, but I back then would have broke bread with, I'm like,
Yep.
wow, that's how
Yeah.
I got away
Yes,
with
ma'am.
popping off. And you know what I mean? And that's why I didn't care, who I kicked it with. So it's just crazy that you both said that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, I got to write this down so I can unpack it tomorrow in therapy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
I was around people that, allowed me to, I wasn't raised, clubbing and being out. And I was that naive girl, right? And so people got over a lot on me with
Yeah.
things that I wasn't even realizing. And so, then, I got into this whole bad boy, good girl situation. But I was so
Mm,
naive that the people in that world were able to just get over as being my friends. But that wasn't the case. There was so much going on behind the scenes that I wasn't even aware of.
wow.
And when I removed myself from that circle, and this is no shade on anyone,
Right.
that may come across this podcast that feels like I'm speaking of them or whatever, or was part of that circle. But I'm so grateful for that wake up moment, and I think that God was already in the trenches, putting things, aligning things when He had that young man say that to me. It was a kid that I grew up with. He actually, passed away a few years after that, but the fact that again, my heart was already open to hearing that, because
yeah.
I was already feeling some kind of way about myself, and just looking at my life and saying, why is my life so hard right now? Why
Mm.
is everything so hard?
Yeah.
And it's because, our energy and what we put out there and what
Those
we
blockages.
receive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And what
Those
we
blockages.
give off and our perspective, all of that stuff is drawn to you because of the person that you are.
And you're,
No.
you're taught you got to be hard because, the world's tough. So you got to be hard and no, you're hard because of those blockages and your
Yeah.
energy
And those
being calcified.
experiences, yeah.
Yes. Every single time a trauma happens, whether it's physical or emotional, whether you notice it or not, it dries you up. It's another
Yeah. It's like
chunk of
another
the
brick in that
puzzle.
wall.
Yep. You got to chip away at it. Oh, wow. So,
Mm.
woo.
Wow.
Is we in
This
church
was
or
a
is we in a
conversation.
podcast?
Pass the offering.
Is we in
Pass
Pass,
the
another
pass the
offering tray.
offering.
Is we in
Wow.
another
Wow.
podcast?
Wow. I mean,
Oh,
I could just keep going on and on with you
right,
ladies, but we're going to have plenty more conversations. Oh, wow. I don't know.
right.
I
I'm
feel
not
like
gonna
this.
drink wine, but I feel like I need to pour something up.
No, I feel like this is a great way to end our first podcast. Billion Brown Mamas. We hope you enjoyed the conversation today. Be sure to subscribe to Resilient Brown Mamas on Apple Podcasts and leave us a review. And remember, we want to hear from you. So email us at resilientbrownmamas@gmail.com to share your resilient stories and comments. You can also visit us at resilientbrownmamas.com for merch and more.
Yes, we definitely want to hear from you. And until next week, this is Mica Rose,
Sheena B,
and Sonia G.
And don't forget, you are resilient as hell.